During my mother's birthday party, she publicly thanked her stepchildren for their support and completely ignored everything I had done for her. And I couldn't stop my tears. I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 months ago, I destroyed my family at my mother's 65th birthday party. Not with a single moment of stupidity, but with months of lies that all came crashing down in the most way possible. It started 6 months before the party. My wife Sarah had been planning this elaborate celebration for my mom, coordinating with my stepfather's kids from his first marriage. These weren't kids I grew with. Mom married Jim when I was already 23. His daughter Kelly was 19, son Marcus was 21. Nice enough people, but we were never close. But Sarah was obsessed with making this perfect. Mom deserves this, she'd say, staying late making photo albums, booking venues, coordinating with Kelly about decorations. I should have been grateful. I should have helped more. Instead I started resenting how much time she spent on my mother's party while ignoring me. That's when Melissa from work started seeming more appealing. She was younger, single, actually laughed at my jokes. When she asked about my home during our coffee breaks, I found complaining about Sarah. She cares more about my stepfamily than me, I'd say. Melissa would nod sympathetically, touch my arm, tell me I deserved better. The emotional affair started small. Texts that weren't quite appropriate, lunches that went too long. Staying late at the office just to talk to her. I told it wasn't cheating because we hadn't done anything physical. I was lying to. 2 months before the party, Sarah caught me texting Melissa late one night. Who's that? She asked, and I panicked. Just work stuff, I lied. But she could see it in my face. The doubt crept into her eyes, and I watched the woman who's months planning a celebration for my family start pulling away from me. She stopped updating me about party plans. Stopped asking for my input. Started coordinating directly with Kelly and Marcus instead of including me, which made me angrier, which made me lean on Melissa more. She's shutting out, Melissa would say, or her husband, not them. She made it sound so reasonable, so justified. 3 weeks before the party, I Melissa in the parking garage. It felt like victory, and at the same time, the night of the party arrived, and I still thought I kept everything together. Sarah had planned this incredible evening at the community center. 50 people, slideshow, catered dinner, live music. She'd been working on it for months while I'd been planning my next text to Melissa. Mom stood for her speech, holding the microphone with shaking hands. I want to thank some very special people, she began, and I straightened, expecting to hear my name first. After all, I'm her only biological child. Kelly, thank for the beautiful photo albums. Captured memories I'd forgotten I had. Kelly beamed from across the room. I forced a smile. Marcus' slideshow made me cry happy tears. Seeing my playback like that was magical. Marcus raised his with a grin. The room applauded. And Sarah. Mom's voice broke slightly. Sweet Sarah orchestrated all of this. Brought our families together in a way I never imagined possible. Are truly the daughter I never had. The words hit me like ice water. Daughter I never had. What about the son she actually had? Mom continued thanking people. The catering staff. Jim's brother who drove in from 3 states away. The neighbor who helped set chairs. Person after person got acknowledged. I sat there waiting. Surely she'd mention me. I drove her to doctor appointments. I fixed her computer every time it broke. I called every Sunday. I was her son. She never said my name. The speech ended with thunderous applause and everyone rushed to hug her. I sat frozen in my chair, watching my own mother celebrate a party I should have helped plan, surrounded by people she appreciated more than me. That's when the tears started. Not the dignified kind hide, the gasping sobs that make people stare. Sarah was across the room helping clear dishes, and when she saw me crying, she didn't come over. She just looked sad and turned away. Kelly appeared beside me with tissues. Hey, okay. I couldn't speak, couldn't explain that I felt erased from my own family. That while I'd been emotionally cheating on my wife, she'd been building bridges I was too selfish to cross. Mom loves so much, Kelly said gently. She talks about all the time. How proud she is, how worried she gets when seemed distant lately. Distant. That word shattered something inside me. I'd been distant because I was busy falling for someone else. I'd been checked out of my own family while they planned this beautiful celebration without me. And now I was crying at my mother's party like a child who didn't get enough presents. The worst part. My phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. How's the boring family party? We're here with me instead. I looked around the room at all these people who'd showed for my mom, who'd contributed something meaningful to her happiness. Then I looked at my phone, at evidence of the person I'd become while they were being family. I stood and walked outside, leaving the party early. Sarah didn't follow me. When we got home that night, she finally asked the question I'd been dreading. Having an affair? I could have lied again. Could have gaslit her, made her think she was paranoid. Instead I looked at my wife who'd spent months creating magic for my family while I betrayed her, and I told the truth. Yes. The sound she made wasn't quite a scream, wasn't quite a sob. It was the sound of something breaking that can never be fixed. I thought confessing would make me feel better. I thought honesty would be the first step toward fixing things. I was wrong about everything. Sarah didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just sat on our couch staring at me like I was a stranger who'd broken into her house. How long? She asked. 6 months of talking. 3 weeks of more. Her face went completely blank. While I was planning mother's party. It wasn't a question. It was her putting together the timeline, realizing that every late night she spent making photo albums, I was texting another woman. Every weekend she coordinated with Kelly and Marcus, I was complaining about her to Melissa. Sarah, I can explain. Don't. Her voice was so quiet I barely heard it. Don't dare make this about how I wasn't paying enough attention. She knew. Of course she knew. She'd lived with me for 5 years. She could read my face like a book. I gave space to work on when seemed unhappy. I took on extra responsibility for family so wouldn't feel burdened. I coordinated with step family because I wanted mom to feel loved by everyone. Each word was like a scalpel, precise and devastating. And while I was doing that, we're telling another woman that I didn't appreciate enough. I tried to speak, but she held her hand. She knows about me, doesn't she? This Melissa. I nodded and something died in Sarah's eyes. Told her our private business made me the villain in Little Romance Story. She stood, wrapped her arms around herself. I need to leave. Tonight? Sarah, please. I can't look at right now. I can't be in the same house as. I need to think, and I can't do that with here. I packed a bag with shaking hands. Sarah sat in our bedroom, door locked, while I gathered my things. I could hear her crying through the walls, these broken sobs that made me want to punch in the face. As I was leaving, she opened the door. Mom called 3 times asking if we're okay. She said seemed upset at the party. The party. In all my guilt and panic, I'd forgotten that my mom had noticed me crying. What should I tell her? Sarah asked. I don't know. Well, figure it out, because I'm not going to be the one to break her heart by telling her what kind of man her son really is. I drove to a hotel, but I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how Sarah had protected me even in her devastation, how she was still considering my relationship with my mother while I just nuked her entire world. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I couldn't face Melissa yet. Couldn't figure out what to say to her. My phone rang. Mom, I'm okay, seemed so upset last night. I almost told her everything. Almost dumped my guilt on her the way I dumped it on Sarah. But then I remembered Sarah's words about not breaking Mom's heart. I'm fine, Mom. Just tired. Sure. Left so suddenly. Sarah said weren't feeling well. Sarah had covered for me. Even after I destroyed everything, she was protecting me from having to explain to my mother that I was a cheater who'd abandoned my own family's celebration. The party was beautiful, Mom. Deserved all those kind words. Oh, sweetie. Her voice got soft. I hope know how much I love. Sometimes I worry I don't say it enough. My throat closed. I'd love me. She'd always loved me. I was the one who'd been too wrapped in my own selfishness to see it. I know, Mom. Sarah is such a treasure. We're so lucky to have her. I hung and cried in my hotel room for 2 hours. That afternoon I finally went to work. Melissa was waiting by my office with coffee and a sympathetic smile. How was the family drama? Looking at her, I felt nothing but disgust. Not at her. This was the person I'd risked everything for. This was worth destroying Sarah's trust. It was fine, I said, taking the coffee but not meeting her eyes. Seem off. Want to talk about it? No, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to complain about my wife to the woman I'd been cheating with. I didn't want to pretend this was normal anymore. Actually, I think we need to stop this, whatever this is. Her face fell. What, why? Because I'm married. Because this isn't fair to anyone. But said Sarah doesn't understand. Said she's been neglecting. Hearing my own words repeated back made me sick. I had said those things. I'd painted my wife as the villain to justify my choices. I was wrong. I was lying to. Melissa's expression shifted from to angry. So are just going to use me and throw me away. I never meant. Spent months telling me marriage was broken. Made me believe we had something real. She was right to be angry. I'd led her on, made her think she was saving me from an unhappy situation. I'd used her to avoid dealing with my own problems. I'm sorry. Deserve better than this. She laughed bitterly. Yeah, well, so does wife. I went home to an empty house. Sarah had taken some of her things. There was a note on the kitchen counter. Staying at my sister's. Need time to think. Don't contact me unless it's an emergency. The silence was crushing. I walked through our house, seeing all the evidence of the Sarah had built for us. Her books on the shelves, photos from our trips. The wedding planning magazines she'd been looking through, thinking about our future. I found her laptop open in the spare room, still showing the spreadsheet she'd used to coordinate Mom's party. Dozens of tabs for vendors, RSVPs, timeline coordination. She'd spent months on this, working late into the night to make sure everything was perfect. There was a folder labeled Jim's Kids, full of emails with Kelly and Marcus. Sarah had been building relationships with my stepfamily, trying to bring us all together. She'd seen a bigger picture while I'd been focused on feeling sorry for. I scrolled through the messages. Kelly thanking Sarah for including her in the planning. Marcus sending funny stories about Mom for the slideshow. Sarah responding with warmth and enthusiasm, treating them like real family. And there it was, in an email to Kelly from 2 weeks ago. I'm worried about my Naaman. He seems distant lately, and I don't know how to help him. I thought if we made this party really special for Mom, it might remind him how much family means. She'd been worried about me. She'd been trying to help me reconnect with my family, and I'd interpreted her efforts as neglect. I was the worst kind of fool. My phone buzzed. Text from her gave me number. Can we talk? My stomach dropped. Did Kelly know? Had Sarah told her? I called the number. Hi, Kelly's voice was careful. I wanted to check on. Mom's really worried. No, I'm okay. Or not. And neither is Sarah. Silence. She called me crying yesterday. She wouldn't tell me what happened, just said 2 were having problems and that she couldn't keep helping with family stuff right now. My heart sank. Sarah was pulling away from my family because of me. Kelly, Look, I don't know what's going on between 2, but Sarah is the best thing that ever happened to this family. She brought us all together. She made Mom feel like she had a big, loving family instead of just separate pieces. Each word was a I for letting ego or pride mess this. We're gonna regret it for the rest of point. She hung. I sat in my empty house, understanding for the first time what I'd really lost. Not just Sarah. Not just my marriage. I'd lost the family that Sarah had been building around me, the connections she'd been fostering, the love she'd been nurturing. And the worst part, they all loved her more than me now, and they were right to. It's over. Everything is over and I have no one to blame but. Sarah filed for divorce 3 days ago. No drama, no big confrontation. She just had her lawyer send the papers to my hotel. Clean, efficient, final. Just like everything else she does. I haven't seen her since that night, I confessed. We've communicated only through lawyers and a few brief texts about logistics. Each message is polite and distant, like we're strangers handling a business transaction. But the real devastation isn't the divorce papers. It's everything else that's fallen apart. My mom called last week crying. Sarah won't return my calls, she said. What did do? I couldn't lie anymore. I told her everything, the affair, the emotional cheating during the party planning, how Sarah had been building while I was tearing it down. The silence on the other end lasted forever. Mom, I need to go. Her voice was hollow. I need to process this. She hasn't spoken to me since. Yesterday I drove by Mom's house and saw Sarah's car in the driveway. Through the window, I could see them sitting at the kitchen table, Sarah's hand covering Mom's. They were talking, crying, hugging. I sat in my car watching my wife comfort my mother about the pain I'd caused both of them. I wanted to go in, to apologize, to try to fix something, but I knew I'd already lost the right to be part of that conversation. Sarah was giving my mom what I should have given her: support, love, presence. I drove away. Jim called that afternoon. Mother is heartbroken, he said. Not just about Sarah, but about who become. I know. Because she spent that whole party worrying about why looked so miserable. She kept asking Sarah if something was wrong with, if there was something she should do. My chest felt like it was caving in. She didn't mention in her speech because Sarah asked her not to put on the spot when seemed upset. Sarah was protecting. Even then I hadn't known. Of course I hadn't known. I'd been too busy feeling sorry for to notice. Sarah told Mom everything yesterday. About how hard she worked to bring our families together. About how she was trying to help reconnect with us while we're elsewhere. The disgust in his voice was unmistakable. Kelly and Marcus want nothing to do with. They feel like used them, made them part of some game. That's not, isn't it? Resented Sarah for including them. Turned their efforts to bond with into evidence that wife didn't care about enough. He was right. I'd poisoned everything with my selfishness. Mom doesn't want to see right now. She feels like she failed as a mother, like she raised someone capable of this level of cruelty. The word hit me like a physical cruelty. That's what this was. Not a mistake, not a moment of weakness. Sustained, calculated cruelty toward the person who loved me most. Maybe in time, Jim continued, but right now, need to give her space to heal from what've done. I hung and realized I'd lost everything. Not just Sarah, my entire family. The relationship Sarah had spent months nurturing I destroyed in one confession. Work became unbearable. Melissa avoided me after our last conversation, but the awkwardness lingered. Everyone could sense something had changed. I requested a transfer to another department, but the damage was done. I was the guy who'd had an affair, who'd thrown away his marriage for office flirtation. I found a new apartment, small, sterile, nothing like the home Sarah and I had built. I spend my evenings alone scrolling through social media seeing glimpses of the I'd abandoned. Sarah posted a photo last week of her and Kelly at some coffee shop, both laughing at something off camera. The caption read, "Family isn't always so grateful for the sisters we choose." Sisters. Kelly called Sarah her sister now. The comments were full of love and support from people who clearly knew what had happened. My own family was rallying around my ex-wife and I wasn't part of it anymore. I tried calling Marcus once, thinking maybe I could apologize, explain. It went straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. What could I possibly say? The worst part isn't the loneliness, though that's crushing. It's the clarity. I can see now what I had and what I destroyed. Sarah wasn't neglecting me during the party planning. She was trying to give me a gift, a closer relationship with my family. She saw how disconnected I felt from Mom's new and worked to bridge that gap. While she was making photo albums and coordinating with Kelly, she was showing my mom how much her son mattered by proxy. She was demonstrating love for me through her actions and I interpreted it as abandonment. I took her selfless efforts and turned them into ammunition for my affair. I used her kindness as justification for betraying her trust. The affair itself was just the symptom. The real disease was my inability to see love when it was right in front of me. My need to feel like a victim instead of recognizing that I was surrounded by people trying to care for me. I keep thinking about that moment at the party when Mom didn't mention my name. I was so focused on public recognition that I missed the private love Sarah had been showing me for months. She'd been telling my family how wonderful I was behind the scenes while I was telling another woman how terrible she was. Last night, I drove by our old house. Sarah had moved back and after I left and there were cars in the driveway I recognized, Kelly's, Marcus's, even Mom's. They were all there together, the family Sarah had built, continuing to exist without me. I could see them through the window, sitting around our dining room table, the same table where Sarah used to show me party planning updates while I listened and checked my phone for messages from Melissa. They looked happy. Complete, like they'd realized they could be a family without the person who'd been sabotaging it from the inside. I don't blame them for choosing her over me. Sarah fought for these relationships while I took them for granted. She earned their love while I assumed mine was guaranteed. The divorce will be final in 2 months. Sarah's keeping the house, which is fair since she's the one who made it a home. I'll keep paying my share of the mortgage for a place I'll never live in again. Where a family I'll never be part of will continue to gather. I see Melissa sometimes in the parking garage where we nod politely and keep walking. That moment I thought was so romantic, so worth the risk. It was just two people hiding from their real lives in a concrete box. What I had with Sarah was daylight. It was showing, being present, choosing each other every day even when it was boring or hard. I traded that for shadows and secrets and the empty thrill of being wanted by someone who didn't really know me. People keep asking me if I regret it, if I'd do things differently. The question makes me angry because it assumes this was some moment of weakness, some single bad choice. This wasn't a mistake. This was a character revelation. When faced with love that required maturity and commitment, I chose something that fed my ego instead. I didn't just cheat on Sarah. I cheated out of the she was trying to build for us, the family she was trying to strengthen, the future she was planning while I was planning my escape from it. The birthday party was supposed to be a celebration of my mother's and the family she'd created. Instead, it became the moment I realized I'd already lost my place in both. Mom was right to thank everyone except me that night. I hadn't earned recognition because I hadn't contributed anything. I'd been a ghost in my own family, physically present but emotionally absent, taking while others gave. Sarah deserved better than a husband who saw her love as neglect. My family deserved better than a son and brother who prioritized his own feelings over their happiness. I used to think the worst part about cheating was getting caught. Now I know the worst part is realizing what destroyed while we're doing it. They're all better off without me, and that might be the most devastating truth of all. Some mistakes can fix, some bridges can rebuild. But when break trust this completely, when reveal this level of selfishness and cruelty, don't get to come back. Don't get to be the victim in a story where we're the villain.